Look, ladies, I want to be clear. If anything in government is going to change, if we're going to protect our hair, our kids, our lives, it starts with a vote. So join CitizenShe and 4910 Rosalie Productions to detangle the vote and squad up.
Welcome to Detangle the Vote. I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am to be here in this moment with you all. You know, anybody that knows me knows how much I love Black women. And loving Black women means loving Black women's hair and everything about Black women. And so this week, we have partnered with an amazing production team, 4910 Rosalie Productions, and we are bringing y'all something incredible. You know, Black women, we have been, feeling low. It's been heavy last few months, heavier than normal. Last week was really, really heavy. And we decided we're not going to sit there and let anybody allow us to feel any more weight on our shoulders. We're going to walk as if we already won. And so today is the beginning of that journey. I'm excited to be on this journey with you, and I'm excited to be on this journey with our amazing production team, 4910 Productions. And I would love Emma.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
Welcome. Y'all, Emma Jackson, she's just dope, right? Like, she's Black woman, but she's also Black woman dope, right? And she is the wonderful female face for 4910 Productions. Emma, I'm so excited to do this with you.
I'm excited to be here too. Detangling the vote. This week is about to be exciting. Hashtag free to be free. We have so many great things that are going to happen this week. And I'm excited for this opening conversation. I'm excited about what it stands for, what it's going to continue to stand for, and its purpose. So it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be lit. Also, Emma, I see your picked out fro. I see what you're doing right there.
Listen, I said I'm gonna have to come with it today. I had it up in a bun earlier, and I said no, we gotta bring it out today. It might be a little bigger later on in the week. So
there we go. I love it. Beautiful. Well, Emma, I want to be able to talk about our guests that we have this starting this week off. I love Facebook. Anybody who knows me knows I love being on Facebook. And I've been scrolling through Facebook, last couple of years. And I came upon this incredible woman named Wendy Greene. And Wendy Greene just kept echoing the same stuff that I was feeling in my heart. And I was like, nope, I'm a friender. I'm a little stalker. So I'm a friender. And I did. And then we decided to do this incredible stuff with hair. And I decided to inbox her. And I made an incredible, brilliant, amazing friend. So I would love to bring up my friend and also the person whose brain, and she's not going to even want me to say this all the time, but it's her brain and her thoughts are behind a lot of the legal reasoning behind the C.R.O.W.N. Act. And so when we feel the results of that, I just want y'all to know that brainchild was this brilliant Black woman. So I'm going to introduce the world and my family and friends to Professor Wendy Greene. Hello, Wendy.
Hi. Hello.
Welcome to Detangle the Vote, Wendy.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you all this evening, and thank you so much for your really, just so thoughtful, just such a thoughtful words.
You don't, Wendy. I tell people it's a plug. Y'all don't even understand. What is a plug? I call Wendy at like 2 a.m. sometimes. I'm like, Wendy, can we figure this out? And Wendy like text me at 5 a.m. Be like, yes, we got this. Wendy's love and protection of Black women on all fronts is real. And it's so grateful to you and your presence and all that you do, Wendy. So thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. And it's so nice to meet you finally, Emma, as well.
Hello, yes.
This will be fun. I'm so honored to be able to kick off this week when Nia asked me to do it. I'm like, are you sure? I'm gonna be on here this week. People are gonna be tired of me.
Never. So Emma, we are about to play, before we get into like this dope conversation, we're gonna play an amazing video that was produced in conjunction with 4910. Do you want to like set everybody up for like what they're about to see and feel?
I think they should just go ahead and watch it, and they'll see and see it.
I like it. So, okay. So I think we're about to play this video. Y'all go get y'all feels. Y'all about to get ready. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk to Professor Greene. I'm calling you Professor Greene on purpose. Get ready.
Folks who think this new law is long overdue.
You've been to the Supreme Court before,
Yes, yes, I have.
So, do you ever think or contemplate or worry?
Let's face it, hair matters to everybody. But the authors of this new law say that women with kinky and curly hair are often discriminated against, viewed as inferior even. Dove recently sponsored a survey that showed that Black women were 80% more likely to change their natural hair to conform to social norms and expectations on the job. So there are a lot of folks who think this new law is long overdue.
You've been to the Supreme Court before,
Yes, yes, I have.
So, do you ever think or contemplate or worry about the way the world proceeds? Have you heard about that?
I did when I actually first went because it was short. Because when you stop perming your hair, you have to cut all that off. And so I was afraid when I first went to court, and I got so many compliments, and I continue to get so many compliments. It kind of was like I should wish I had done it sooner. So no, I've embraced it. I love it, and I never think about it now. When I first did it, yeah, but now no. I think that it's a part of my identity. It's a part of who I am, and I wear it in such a way that it's definitive, and it defines me as a person. And I think people look to it because of the fact that I have the hair. Perms would usually last maybe 6 weeks before you have to get another one. But then that was another thing you had to be careful of, because some of the perms were too strong and they would burn your scalp just as bad. It's a torture process for me now that I look back on it and think about it. It really was a hard thing, for the sake of being, I'm just like I am. I didn't need all of that. But the norm was to have the long, straight hair as what was acceptable in society at that time. California State Senator Holly Mitchell introduced the first law to associate hair as an extension of one's race, which is legally protected. Terminated because of the way they choose to wear their hair. The way my hair grows out of my head as a Black woman is a trait of race. It is.
Everybody can't do red.
Everybody.
This happened when I moved to New Orleans. This is when I was natural, but I had like a really big fro. It's always red, and I felt like I was like doing the politically correct thing with my hair, just trying to keep the fro to where it wasn't. I worked in corporate America at the time, so where it wasn't like too much, so nobody would say anything to me. Natural hair was still a new concept, and so I lived here, and this was the moment when I was like, I don't think I want to work in a corporate environment. I don't think it's for me. I don't want to be what people think I should be, or people's imagination with me, or I don't want people to tell me what I should be. Like, this is who I always have been, and so I basically cut my hair down to a short taper and shaved the sides.
And I can remember many times there was 3 little Black girls in the class always being asked, "Can I touch your hair?" We all had the 2 braided pigtails or 3 braided pigtails, being asked, "Can I touch your hair?" because they'd never seen anything like it. That's why I like C.R.O.W.N, creating a respectful and open world for natural hair.
Wait, Nia, you're muted.
Of course I'm muted. You know how many people in my life want to mute me?
I was like, I see her talking. I was like, but we need to hear what you're saying, because after that beginning segment of what we just watched, we need to hear what you're saying.
I love that video. I love that video. And there's moments, there's pieces of it that just really resonate. But I love the way, and I'm like, don't touch my hair. I want no one to touch my hair. Thank y'all so much for producing that video, Emma. Thank you to 4910 for making that a reality. We've got 2 more videos within the docuseries that we'll be releasing throughout the week. And we also have a love letter that we'll be releasing this week. So y'all stay tuned for all the goodness. Wendy, what does that video make you feel? What does that video make you think about?
Oh, well, it's mixed emotions, honestly, because on one hand, I'm excited about the fact that we now have legislation that is treating natural hair discrimination as race discrimination, something that I have been advocating for over a decade now, alongside other Black women for far longer than me, even, to really try to overturn, nearly 400 years of lawful discrimination on the basis of a lawful race discrimination on the basis of our natural hair textures and hairstyles. So there is, that joy in terms of that victory, but however, it also reminds me of those times that I too had a very abusive relationship with my hair. Just even seeing the application of that relaxer just gave me chills, because it just reminded me of the burns, of the scalp damage, of those harms that so many of us, starting at a very early age, are enduring. And my hope is that, with the C.R.O.W.N. Act, among other types of legal interventions in education, that we no longer have to submit to those types of harms in order to be free in this world.
That's oh so real. Emma, as I'm looking at that beautiful fro on the screen, I have to ask, have you ever had any other style? Have you ever permed your hair? Have you ever braided and did something different? What was your hair story look like?
No, so I've never had a perm ever. I forgot what it was called when I was younger. It wasn't a perm, but it would allow my hair to stay straighter and longer. A bigger roll. I don't know if y'all, I don't know.
A bigger roll?
It's called a bigger roll or something like that. But
it was a whole new word out there, Emma.
Yeah, it wasn't a perm, but when I would go to the hair salon, the lady would do it. We would press it. I have my ponytail, my 2 ponytails, and I'll be good for 2 weeks. But no, I've always had twists, whether it was cornrows. I've had the Bantu knots before they were cool. My friends used to pick on me. Well, they weren't my friends; they were picking on me. But people used to pick on me in middle and high school because I would wear the Bantu knots to school. But now it's so cool, and it's just kind of well, it was not cool, during grade school. I've always been natural. My biggest struggle is now more so being in the entertainment industry. It's just kind of do I wear my hair straight so I can kind of, get that, role of you have this old desired swinging long hair, beautiful girl walking down the street. It's okay, no, everybody looks different. So I feel like my struggle is now trying to figure out, okay, I've always been natural. Do I want to switch it up? Do I want to change it? But I love being natural because it's just it's free. I will walk out the house, hair just big all over the place, and get the most compliments than when I have it, any other way. So yeah, that's I'm working on this. It's kind of like a story now versus growing up, but I've always had it big and always had it out. And I'm really grateful for my mother to do that, because growing up, she had locks, and then I had perm, and then she had a purple fro, and then she had her gray fro. So yeah, so she did different things with her hair too. So I'm just really grateful that she allowed me to, actually have a choice in what, my hair was supposed to be like.
That's so real. I love that. Wendy, I've watched, all the pieces that you have been putting together, and all the, like I said, Wendy's the hair plug. And so I've watched this for a while, but I've contemplated and wondered, how did this journey start for you? What was the moment you were no? Because we're all in law school. We want to be civil rights attorneys and change the world. Where was it that you were you know what? I'm going to change the world through these Black women's hair.
Well, it was actually in New Orleans at Tulane Law School. I went to undergrad at Xavier University, graduated from Xavier, and then went to Tulane. And it was during my time at Tulane that I came across those cases, those federal court cases, namely Title VII cases, which Title VII prohibits, racial discrimination in workplaces. And there were those line of cases starting in the early 1980s where, employers, when Black women would challenge natural hair bans in their workplaces, like bans against braids, locks, twists, and afros, that courts came up with this hair splitting distinction is what I call it, where, if you suffer discrimination on the basis of your afro, then that is unlawful race discrimination under our federal civil rights laws. But if you lock, braid, or twist that afro, then magically it's no longer about race and it's not prohibited under our federal civil rights laws. And employers are essentially free to regulate, or what I call engage in hyper-regulation of our bodies via our hair. And so that distinction, it made no sense to me. Number one, why you would make this distinction between afros and the hair textures and hairstyles that flow from an afro, and one is about race and one is not. That makes no sense to me. And then I think about the fact that leaves, countless African-American women, and not only African-American women, but also men too, subject to an employer's whim and their prerogative as it relates to how we rock our hair. So that's when the seed was planted. That I call myself sometimes a crazy person. I went to law school again.
Oh, you went to law school twice?
I went to law school twice. Yeah.
Wow.
JD from Tulane, and then went to George Washington University Law School to get my LLM, so my master's in law, and where I studied comparative slavery and race relations law and employment discrimination law. And that, I knew at that point I wanted to be, the reason why I went back to school primarily was to become a law professor. And, in order to be, these days, in order to become a law professor, you have to have some legal scholarship. You got to publish.
So the lawyer smart.
So you got to do that. Once you get on the market and in order to, attain your promotions and tenure. And my article, what I really wanted to do after having worked with plaintiffs as well as with management side clients, I really wanted to tackle this issue as it related to natural hair discrimination specifically, but more broadly around the ways in which employers were regulating us on the basis of our appearance.
Yes.
And so that was right at the time when you had the NFL regulating the players with their hair and with their hair, or the NBA was regulating, the chains and things that Black players were wearing. Right. And it was just a critical time to think about the ways in which all of these things associated with Blackness and how they were being subordinated and suppressed and eliminated from our workplaces, right? Yep. In order to fit and satisfy Eurocentric norms. Yep. Of what is professional, right? And what's acceptable. Yep. And so that's really when I wrote my first article, Title VII, What's Hair and Other Race-Based Characteristics Got to Do with It.
I like it. Wait, say that again.
That title.
Title VII, What's Hair and Other Race-Based Characteristics Got to Do with It.
Bruh, I like it. Like, not only do we have brilliant first, we come for brilliant titles. I love it. I'm a fan. Wendy. I'm a fan.
Oh, well, and that was the first article. And, people thought I was crazy, for even writing about this. Like, what does hair have to do with civil rights? What does hair have to do with, employment discrimination and, our equal opportunities in the workplace? And it was in that article that I proposed this definition of race that is now being used in the C.R.O.W.N. Act, that is now shaping, enforcement guidance throughout the country, and also, is shaping, lawyers as well as enforcement agencies' litigation strategies. Yes. So that's the start of the story. And since then, I've just built a body of work around what I call grooming codes discrimination. And all of those pieces are really just trying to illuminate the ways in which our appearance, norms, and expectations implicate our civil rights laws.
I love that so much. And Emma, I'm curious, like listening to Wendy's journey, right? And like how this has impacted Black women in work, and then listening to you saying, I think about my hair when I'm going to work. Like the reality is that like there's so many issues that fall under hair discrimination that people don't even think about, right? Emma, what does that bring up for you? Like, what do you think about when you hear like Wendy talking about this and then being like, wait, I think about that on an audition. Just
yeah, I mean, it just lets me know that I'm not the only person thinking about it. It lets me know that, you know, there is somebody out there who is fighting for me to say, you know what, you don't have to feel like you have to choose, or you don't have to feel like you need to look a certain way because you have been, you know, thought this way, or these things are out here. It's like, that's actually, you know, discrimination against your hair. And who would think that, oh, you can discriminate against my look or my hair because it is a part of me. And it's just kind of like, okay, you actually have somebody out there who is, you know, fighting for you, and you can realize that and be like, okay, cool. Now that I know that there's a certain thing about that, then I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be more proud in how I am and how I already look. So that is how I feel about that.
Yes. And real talk, Wendy, like at the end of the day, like all the things that we're fighting against and like fighting for, at the end of the day, like that's what we want, is we want Black women and Black folks to be proud in their skin. Absolutely. However they present, however they choose to be, be proud and live a full life in that space. Like real talk, we ain't fighting for anything really, really big.
Right? No, you're exactly right. But you're exactly right. And that's basically what the scholarship and then, you know, the Free the Hair movement really embodies. And it's really trying to advance that, you know, we want people to be able to, you know, to freely rock their hair as they so choose, and to rock their hair as it naturally grows out of their heads. It's both and, you know? So it's not about necessarily having to rock, you know, to rock natural hairstyles. If you want to wear your hair straight, you should be able to do so.
Yeah.
And if you want to wear your hair in locks, braids, twists, bantu knots, afros, you should be able to do so too. Because how you wear your hair has absolutely nothing with your competencies and your abilities to do the job whatsoever. And or your ability to learn. You know, we see this in our schools. You know, whether or not you should be able to get into a restaurant or some other type of a public accommodation. That has nothing to do with whether or not I'm going to spend my money in your establishment and be, you know, it shouldn't matter. And so that's really the whole point, is that none of these things should matter. Similar to our skin color. We say that all the time, right? Then, you know, we want to be colorblind and your skin color shouldn't matter. Well, neither should our hair. And that's really, you know, what the Free the Hair movement is about. That's what my scholarship is about. My advocacy is about. My teaching is about.
Yeah.
Public engagement is all about. And so it just warms my heart to know that you feel more empowered knowing that there are folks out here absolutely advocating on your behalf.
Yeah.
So that you can rock your hair freely, however you so choose.
There we go. And also, Wendy, there's also like, because we talk about economics and we talk about jobs, and like that's like kind of the first thing that comes to mind, especially for us, you know, in professional space. You know, we think about, you know, our hair and how it's going to affect our pocketbooks.
Right.
We just do. But there's so many other issues that we have to navigate through with regards to our hair, right?
Yes.
It's our health, right? When we think about the woman who was talking, Miss Jackie, who was talking about the torture process, but there's also like putting those chemicals on your head. Like there's real health implications. And like when we're talking about women, we're talking about like womb care, right? Like there's implications that way too. You know, you also brought up, you know, education. There are kids being kicked out of school because of their Black hair, right? And so there's educational implications. So can we talk, and I'd love both of you to kind of talk about like, what are those, like, besides economics, besides just desire to be, you know, fly, because I think we got 3 fly chicks on that. But besides all of that, like what else are we navigating through in consideration with our hair?
Right. Well, yeah, and thank you for pointing that out, because you're really hitting on what I call the invisible harms of natural hair discrimination, especially as it relates to Black women and girls. Is that it has not only an emotional impact on us when we're having to navigate, deliberate whether or not we're going to wear our hair straightened or we're going to wear it in its natural state. Because we're scared. You know, there's a lot of anxiety. There are reports about the greater levels of anxiety that we are encountering because of that decision. But in addition to that, when our hair is falling out because of the relaxers, the wigs, the weaves, the straightening agents that we're using and other hair products that we're using, that too causes emotional and psychological distress, on top of the fact that we're having to spend money and time to repair that harm. And then, as you mentioned, in terms of our reproductive health, there are studies that indicate a potential correlation between long-term use of chemical relaxants and greater instances or more aggressive forms of breast cancer, more aggressive forms of uterine cancer, higher rates of uterine fibroids amongst Black women, as well as hormonal infertility. And as it relates to our Black girls, chemical relaxants and also the other products that we're using, those toxins can potentially have a correlation with high rates of hormonal activity, which then triggers some of those things that we're talking about, right? So there's that. Then don't even get into the part about, when we do relax our hair or get it straightened, that we don't exercise, right? Generally speaking, we are going to refrain from getting to exercise or getting our hair wet. So it's like, so then there are those types of the consequences of obesity and other kinds of medical conditions that are related to our failure to exercise that is revolving around our hair and the kinds of consequences that flow from the decisions we make as it relates to our hair. So as I say, if you care about Black women's health, then you have to care about our hair.
I love that you said that, Wendy, because like that's literally what was reverberating in my head. That's what I said. We think alike. But like, like that's what I was thinking. Like, if you care about Black women at all, you have to care about our hair. Emma, have you ever had like a negative experience with your hair in a way that impacted the way you were able to move through life? Like, I know you think about it when you're, going to work and auditions, but have you ever had something like, health or school or, how, just how I'm moving through society and someone says something? Has anything like that ever happened to you?
I mean, maybe not necessarily something being said, but it's definitely like a mental thing, whether I was on campus and it's kind of like, it's time to run for our pageant. Like I did certain pageants and it's like, okay, do I wear my hair out, about to be a pageant girl, or do I wear my hair, natural? So I think which is more of an internal like mental thought, not necessarily somebody saying you need to straighten your hair because that's not cute. But then it's also even just like relationships. It'll be like, okay, do I want to wear my hair out natural? Am I being too much? And it's like, no, girl, you're not being too much. I know that now. But in the past, you'll be like, okay, well, let me tone it down and maybe blend in. And it's not saying that, other styles are blending in, but if this is me and this is how I want to perceive myself today, I'm going to look like this today. But if I want to have long weave down my back with a 27-inch, I'm going to look like that on Tuesday. Or if I want to, wear, faux locks on Thursday, like that should be my choice and I should be happy in that. So it's more so, I would say, more of a mental thing, not necessarily people might have said anything or an instance, but it's just like, okay, should I do it because I'm worried about what other people think? I think that's the more so for me that has happened in my life, like worrying about what other people would think and even worrying about what other Black women would think. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure my sis is probably looking at me like, dang, I wish I could wear my hair like that. So I need to just go ahead and do what I'm supposed to do because I might be inspiring somebody to rock their hair, and I'm looking at them and they're looking at me.
I love that. I love that perspective, Emma. I really, really do. I love it. And Wendy, I also love the way you added that health piece, not just like with the chemicals in our hair, but the fact that we're so conscious about our hair that we will abandon healthy routines.
Right.
And the reality is that Black women across board, especially Black women in the South, are dying from heart disease and, breast cancer and lung cancer. We have 2 cancer alleys. There's 2 or 3 cancer alleys in this state, right? Black women are literally dying. And there are things that we can do to help mitigate some of the harms that are out there. And one of those things is exercise, right? Running, biking, swimming. But the first thing that we think about is, how am I gonna fix my hair after I finish?
I've never really understood that. I mean, I've understood it. You pay what, $60, $80, maybe $100. You have your hair nice, how it's supposed to be, whether for an event or just for you. But you're taking all of these medicines. And I'm more so maybe speaking about, maybe different family members or friends. It's just kind of like, your hair looks good, girl, or cousin or auntie, but you need to come with me and let's go run, or we need to come with me and walk to the mailbox or something, because you're unhealthy and you're trying to figure out, like, why am I not feeling good today, but your hair look good, but you're internally feeling good. So like now you can't just try to cover it up. I think a lot of times we try to cover it up with, okay, I have to look this way, I have to have the makeup on, but it's like like they say, beauty is really from the inside out. And if we want to be okay, we need to make sure we're, internally okay and healthy. And it's like, look, if you're going to be healthy and you have to sweat it out, there are bands out there that they've got to catch your sweat for your edges. I got like 3 of them. That's
so real. And, and I think that, one of the reasons that I love the work that you're doing, Wendy, is like, because there's a bigger implications than just looking cute, right? There's health implications. There's all these other spaces that I can foresee the way, Black women allow society to dictate how we move. And like real talk, society dictates so much about how Black women move, right? But we are the cornerstone, the backbone behind so much. And so many people depend on us, but they also keep us in this box to move the way they want us to move. And I love the idea of us being able to be like, no, actually we're gonna move how we want to move still, but we will still take care of everybody. We're still gonna make everybody straight, but we're gonna, put our face mask on first. Right. And so I love the idea because it also is like allowing Black women to embrace however they want to look and tell society, I'm good in being in this space. And that also means taking care of my body and my health. I'm so grateful for that. I'm also curious though, Wendy, about the journey that you've been on getting this legislation passed. We're watching, Crown Act pop up. Everybody's like, oh man, California off fleek. Oh, New Jersey. Right? We got a Crown Act, coming to Louisiana. Next legislative session, y'all be around. But I mean, we're getting geeked about all of this work. However, as a political enthusiast, I am very clear that it doesn't just take someone writing something dope on a piece of paper and then we have champagne and, caviar in the back, 2 days later. Like, how difficult has this process been to go from this ideation, finding community of people that have been doing this work and all working together and actually getting these things passed? What does that look like, Wendy, in real talk?
Yeah, well, it's more than meets the eye. Yeah, you're right. I could say personally, I have been talking with legislators since about 2013, 2014 about federal legislation to amend the Civil Rights Act of 1964, among our other civil rights statutes that prohibit racial discrimination in certain spaces. And, even then, a big part of it was about the political climate that we were in, whether or not this would be a good time to even try to amend, this very pivotal civil rights statute. And this was during a time when we had, our beloved President Obama as the president, right? So you have to think about those types of things in terms of legislation, not only on the federal level, but also on state and local levels. And then, what really sort of triggered, I think people's level of awareness around the fact that our civil rights laws were not prohibiting or protecting individuals against natural hair discrimination was this 11th Circuit case. So the importance of the courts, right? So I know you talked about that with your audience about the importance of courts and, using your political power in light of that. And so this 11th Circuit case that basically reaffirmed that distinction that I was talking about, where discrimination on basis of afros is race discrimination, but if you knock right or twist it, it's no longer race.
Yes.
So that was reaffirmed and actually fortified in that 11th Circuit case in 2016, 2017, versus catastrophe management solutions that involved Chastity Jones, who was she actually got the job, and the HR manager told her in order to extend the job offer, to keep the job offer on the table, she was going to have to cut off her locks. And she said to her, I'm not saying that yours are, but they tend to get messy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like this, again, this either conscious or unconscious stereotype, this negative stereotype about our hair in particular. And another African-American male employee had cut off his locks as an employment. So she goes to the EEOC the EEOC files this race discrimination claim to really try to overturn nearly 40 years of legal precedent that I've been talking about.
Right.
So it was that case because people were shocked. They didn't know that this was not race discrimination. They're like, what are you talking about? You know,
it's clear. It's very clear.
But, you know,
when it's right, when it's just, when it's legal, it does not play in the same sandbox.
Yeah, no, exactly. So other scholars, other legal scholars like Paulette Caldwell and Angela Onwashi-Willig, you know, we've written, among others, we've written scholarship about this, and people just didn't know. Either A, that this kind of discrimination existed, number one, there's that. And then B, that if you do know, that you just think it is going to be deemed race discrimination. So that really, it just exploded, that case. You know, you had the New York Times talking about it, the Atlantic, you had the Wall Street Journal following this case. Yes. I knew, I was like, when the Wall Street Journal is following this case,
you know, it's the case.
Yeah, it's huge, right? So that being said, you know, and I was involved in assisting with the EEOC on that case, and they used my scholarship, among others, to frame their legal arguments to treat it as race discrimination, to argue that this is race discrimination. Unfortunately, the 11th Circuit did not agree with us, but what it did do was it generated a conversation, a public dialogue on the global levels about the injustice, frankly, that the federal courts were creating with this.
Yes.
So from there, that's when, you know, that public dialogue started, and entities like Dove, Color of Change, the Western Center on Law and Poverty, and the NAACP and others came together along with those state legislators to implement this bill. You know, we now know it's the C.R.O.W.N. Act.
Yes.
And so filed it in different states. You know, and you'll have on Wednesday 2 of the lobbyists, Leah Barrows and Delilah Clay,
who shows up Wednesday at 7. I'm sorry, shameless plug.
No, exactly. No, I gave it to you. There you go.
Thank you.
7 p.m. They will be on to talk about, you know, the legislative strategy. And from there, what it has taken is, you know, a coalition of groups, interested citizens who have been advocating for it, talking to their legislators. It takes, you know, obviously courageous legislators to come out front and center on this issue. It takes individuals willing to share their narratives, share their stories about natural hair discrimination and the impact it has had upon them and their families in their personal and professional lives. It takes this broader public engagement and people out there spreading the word. In addition to an appropriate political climate, right, where people are receptive. And this is also happening at the same time Black Lives Matter movement is gaining steam. So I don't want to, you know, discount that. So all of these things, you know, it takes all of this, the will of the people, the folks who are coming up with the legislative strategy, as well as the legal strategy and legal theories to ultimately create the legislation and then really try to advance the ball on the legislation.
I love it. And I'm so glad you brought that up, Wendy, especially because I want to tie all of this together, right? You know, you talk about the 11th Circuit. Where is the 11th Circuit?
The 11th Circuit, well, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida.
Yeah.
And what I will tell you, you guys have to be on the thinking about this, because there is a case, if you guys remember DeAndre Arnold and his cousin Caden Bradford, who were DeAndre Arnold, who was unable to walk in his graduation in Texas because he refused to cut off his locks. Well, I've also been involved in that as well, and that litigation. And thankfully, the federal district court there did rule in their favor, and they now are, this is a constitutional case.
Right.
And they said that, you know, wearing locks is a central part of their racial and cultural expression. And that this grooming ban, this grooming code policy that would prohibit them from expressing that could potentially infringe upon their constitutional rights. So it has been appealed by the, I will just let you know. So I say that.
The 5th Circuit said that?
So no, this is a federal district court.
Okay, I was like, we can't get nothing good at the Fifth Circuit.
Well, this is why I'm telling you this. It has been appealed to the Fifth Circuit.
Okay, we're gonna lose. Okay, got it.
This decision. Well, we don't want to say that. We got to speak positivity into this.
I speak positive because I know intrinsically, but that we're going to win. But this is why we bring up the importance of the federal courts, because these circuit courts and these district courts make decisions about constitutional issues.
Yes.
And our hair as a condition of race is a constitutional issue, right?
It is.
And Wendy, who appoints the federal judges?
That president.
The president. And normally, the person who appoints the judges appoints judges who think like them.
Yes.
And their constituency.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So this is why, yes.
And we currently have a president who has now appointed 200 judges.
The most, yes.
The most ever.
Right.
And decisions around all the things that we were fighting for right now, we know very clearly they're going to land in federal court. Because we're dealing with constitutional issues. We're dealing with race discrimination. We're dealing with, all of those things are constitutional issues. And at the end of the day, the federal system is going to make those decisions. And so if you want to have an impact on how those decisions come down, you got to start with making sure that whatever leadership is there reflects the kind of thought and idea to have the kind of decisions that you want to come down from the federal level to impact our lives and how we move. Am I close, Wendy?
You're absolutely right. No, these federal courts, they matter.
They matter.
Not just federal courts, all courts. They matter in how we are able to exercise our rights every single day and the impacts on our daily experience, right? Our lived condition, our ability to be free in this country, right? So you're absolutely right. And one of the things two parts about the power of the vote and why it's so important to think about it is not only about the federal courts and who's appointed on the federal courts, because that definitely matters. But as we think about even this legislation that was thankfully just passed in the United States House of Representatives, right? That is a huge feat. But it now has to go to the Senate and has to be voted on by the Senate. And
celebrate. I said, walk as if we already won. There we go.
Yeah. So the election matters because in terms of who our senators are going to be, and they have to vote on this legislation. But then it matters again because you're talking about the president. The president has to sign off on this legislation. And so we need a president who's not going to veto this legislation, right? So the struggle is still going on, and the battle is still real. And this is why it's so important to exercise our fundamental constitutional right to vote, because all of these actors on the federal level and the executive level, they absolutely matter. And this is not only in the federal level, but this is also in your local and state levels too.
Yeah.
Who you vote for is definitely going to shape the extent to which you're able to exercise certain freedoms in the country.
I agree. So, okay, Emma, thank you for letting us nerd out on our legal talk.
No, I'm sitting here. I'm taking it all in. I feel as though I'm that one woman who's like in the middle of Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm just taking it all in. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I've never met these women before, and they're talking about something that I love. Like, I feel like I'm representing that woman tonight. Yes. I am receiving it, and I'm just like, what was she asked? Like, let me try to channel her. So no, trust me, this is good.
I love it. I also want to ask you, Emma, okay, so after our complete, legal nerd out, and we do this sometimes, after this, but someone who hasn't gone through the same legal process, which is most people in this country, and so I would really love to hear your perspective of all of that, like all these legal pieces that we don't always think about, that Wendy and I always have to think about, but most people don't. I would love to hear your perspective of how does that make you feel and what does that make you want to do?
I mean, it just lets you know that you never know like what's behind it, or what is like the tip of the iceberg. It's just like this meme or a photo goes around where you see the tip, but then you see this large iceberg underneath the water, this large mass of ice that you never knew that was there. But the only thing that you see is just the top of it. And you're like, oh, that's just a little bit where, nothing's going to happen. And it's just like with this, it's like, okay, it's just one thing. Okay, my boss won't let me wear my hair out. So I'm thinking that, okay, they just might not like, natural hair, or I work at a restaurant, so they just might not want me to wear it out, when it can be so much more than that. It's like, no, you can wear your hair like that at work. So why your boss should not tell you that. But if you're just, just the everyday person, not really knowing what all of these things are, and you're not really involved in all of the legal aspects, you might think that it's just regular, or you might wonder, well, I don't think that's right, but I don't know what I can do about it. So I'm just gonna, comply, or I'm just gonna, I might just, be like, no, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, but you never know what those consequences might be. So it's really good to just know, like, okay, there's so much more behind it. Yeah. And what I'm grateful for is that there are Black women who know that side, that you all are fighting for the other people who might not have a clue, or who might wonder, but just never knew, like, okay, well, how do I even find out about it? How do I learn more about it? Like there might be some people who might not know about the C.R.O.W.N. Act, and because of this and because of social media, they might find out about it and be like, wow, I never knew. So I'm so glad that I'm watching this, or I'm so glad I came across the hashtag, or I'm so glad that I'm on Facebook Live, to be a part of it. So I'm just happy that there are people who say, you know what, we need to really take a stand in terms of this specific thing, because there are so many other things that we can talk about when it comes to Black women, comes to Black people, and then women in general. We are just all types of intersectionality is happening here. But when it comes to our hair, that's just like, that's something you see. Yes, our skin is something you see, but every person, because we can have any shade of person, and their hair might be curly. So they might be going through the same thing, no matter if our shades are different or not, but you're still getting discriminated because of your hair. Yes. So I definitely think it's something that I'm glad that we're talking about, and that it is, being spoken about. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Emma. I know we're getting close to time, but Wendy, there was a question from Tammy about where to get the article. I think your original article that was like, bro, you ain't gonna do this. What is it? Bro, don't do this to me, because we gonna mess you up. What was it called?
It's called Title VII, What's Hair and Other Race-Based Characteristics Got to Do with It. You can find it.
Right? Yes, I love it.
That's what we have to do. You got to have catchy titles to get people to read your articles.
Yeah.
But you can find it if you just put in Wendy Greene, Greene, Google it, and Title VII, What's Hair and Other Race-Based Characteristics Got to Do with It. It was published in the University of Colorado Law Review.
Okay.
You can also find it through Google Scholar. So you just go to Google Scholar, you can find it there. And if you can't find it there for some reason, shoot me a message at Professor D Wendy or at Free the Hair Now on Instagram or Twitter, and I'm happy to share the links with you there.
Yes, I love it. And we'll also put the links in the comments. Sure. So that they can live in perpetuity. Anything on Facebook.
So they can read more about hair. I write about hair. So there's more.
I love it. There's a Wendy hair. You'll find everything you need to know.
Everything.
I love it.
Wendy,
thank you so much. I just can't tell you how much I love you, and I appreciate you. I'm also really grateful this is not the last time that we get to enjoy you this week. Wendy is also going to be with me on Wednesday when she shows up. We had some beautiful Black women that we are bringing up that did the legislation behind the C.R.O.W.N. Act in California. Am I correct?
Yes. So the lobbyists. Yes.
And so super excited to have Wendy there. And we'll probably have Wendy back on Friday too, because Wendy's got some dope things up her sleeve on Friday. So I'm really, really grateful to have you here. But I'm also grateful that this is not the last time we're doing this. Wendy, thank you so much for all your work. Thank you for your brain. Thank you for your heart. Thank you for your passion, because it is literally leading all of us into a wonderful, wonderful place. And I am really grateful for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys, and Emma, thank you so much for sharing your story as well. It is just it's just so empowering, and you keep rocking your hair however you so choose.
There you go.
I will. Anyway, you're beautiful any way that you rock it. So
thank you.
I love
you're
it.
welcome. Well, thank you. I'll see you on Wednesday.
Yes, Wednesday, definitely.
Yeah.
So Emma, we've got some dope stuff happening this week, don't we?
We have a lot of things happening.
It's a Black girl party, and like the party don't stop, does it, Emma?
I love it. It's like, wait, where you know the black lady courtroom?
Yes,
that jingle. I was like, okay, yeah, I love that. That's what this is, you guys. It's like a little maybe Black Lady StreamYard.
Black Lady StreamYard. There we go. I love it.
Black Lady StreamYard and Facebook Live, but I'm gonna run down what we have this week, just kind of like the general. So you all join with us. All of our panels will be at 6 p.m. Central Time, you all. So make sure you continue to join back in here every single evening. On Tuesday, tomorrow, we have a panel discussion called Crown Me, where we have a variety of Black women, and they will speak on their different hairstyles and what they choose to rock at work in regards to the Crown Act. And then on Wednesday, we have Wendy's very own. Nia's very own. She's
I'll be confused with Wendy. I don't mind. I'll take it. Wendy
will be a part of that panel discussion on Wednesday. That's at 7. That's at 7 Central Time. And then on Thursday, we have a panel called Loving Her. That one
is coming up here.
Listen, that panel is about to be lit. We're gonna have Black speaking about their love for Black women and their hair. And then on Friday, we're gonna kick it off. We have 2 events on Friday. One, we're gonna have the youth come in here with our cyber justice and 4910 Rosalie conversation. That's going to be at 5:15, kind of like a pre-warm up to the closing panel on Friday, which is our closing panel about industry and hair. And it's going to have like behind the scenes of different hair professionals. And that's going to be at 6 p.m. CST as well. And I'm just excited. Different people are going to be popping up. You will see Wendy again, you all. Yes. She's already on my mind. And it's going to be amazing.
All the people that we have been working with, Emma, to come on. They don't even know what this dope week is going to look like. They don't know what this love and this cut don't look like.
You need to watch live, you all, because you never know. You don't want to be the person like, oh, you missed it. It's like, where were you? Because you're home. So let's be on here.
You got something to do. You got something dope to do. Emma, I am so excited to do this, but I'm really excited to do this with you. I'm excited to do this with 4910 Rosalie Productions. This has just been an incredible collaboration. You guys, y'all got some beautiful images, some beautiful videos, lots of love. Like I just want like all the mess that we have felt the last few months. I just want you to be like, shrug it off for a little bit and just embrace this love, embrace this beauty. Feel good about being in your skin. Feel good about wearing your hair, and just feel good about being you. Black women, like I want you to walk proudly being. Wear your crown.
Wear it, okay? I'm gonna have to go to the store and find me a crown. Or
Emma, I might make a crown tomorrow. I might come here with a full crown tomorrow.
The panel is called Crown Me.
It's called Crown Me.
Oh.
I mean, I just may have a tiara tomorrow. Why not?
Look, I'm pretty sure I got one lying around this house somewhere.
Exactly, somewhere. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you for listening to all the things we had to talk about and all the things we had to say. We feel it's important. We're grateful that you feel it's important too. We are excited to see you all the rest of this week. Join us when we're up here. We meant to tell people to comment, but we're talking too much. You know, Black women talk.
Listen, but we did see some of the comments. So comment if you have a question, if you have anything you want to say, if you want to type in your amen or me too, go ahead and do that because we will pop it up on the screen just how we have popped Tammy.
Yes, Tammy.
She said, "Thank you, ladies. So awesome. Keep up the great work. Would like to connect and chat. See what we love here.
Come on.
There we go.
I love it. Well, Emma, I think I got these babies, so I gotta feed them.
Yes, no, it's dinner time over here.
I will jump over here
tomorrow.
Yes, but I will see you tomorrow, 6 o'clock We're going to do like we do and enjoy this space, enjoy the Black women that are going to be here from all kinds of spaces, talking about our hair, our beauty, and loving each other.
Yes, I'll see you tomorrow at 6.
Bye.
Bye.